Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. They say that things happen for a reason. The more and more I look at life and go on a journey that we're all on, different ones, I see that that's true. There's things that happen to us, for us, and it's happening for a reason. And if you're feeling at this time a little off, a little wonky, trying to figure out what's going on, there probably is a reason for that. If you look at astrology, there's weird transits going on. First time in like 400 years that two planets are in retrograde and everything. That runs way deeper than I can jump on board. I just skimmed the surface. She knows more about it, and we're going to talk about that and also those things that hold you back. They call them limiting beliefs. She is an amazing wellness coach, does everything. I'm telling you, she's a shaman. She has put me on the right path of life, and she is truly our professional of the year. And she's back with us. Danielle Marie is on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, getting better.
Thank you. You had some stuff going on there, health-wise and all, in the last couple of weeks. So we missed you, but that's what we're talking about here. Why these things happen, why they come up. And you have with us Todd, who joined us a while ago, and you've worked with him. Todd, how you doing?
Good. I'm doing great.
Yeah, I want to jump into your journey in just a moment, but before we even get there, what's at hand for all of us, this Mercury retrograde, the Venus retrograde, all happening at the same time. What can you tell us about that, Danielle?
Well, a retrograde, if you think about it, it's an illusion of the planet moving backwards. So it's basically standing still as things are moving. But in a retrograde, that point of moving backwards is for us to move backwards, to reassess things. Things come up again that you could have previously experienced. It's to see a higher perspective of it, to make a new choice, to advance your path, to get you back on the right path, per se, too, if you've deviated from where you're really supposed to go. Does that make sense?
It really does. And I've experienced Mercury retrogrades, paid attention, really have paid attention since like 2010. Really, I was working with an intuitive at the time. I always believed everything that he said, but he always used to push the Mercury retrograde. I'm like, yeah. And then I started paying attention of all the stuff that was happening around. I'm trying to process that plus the Venus retrograde and how that impacts us.
Well, if we break them down, when you look at Mercury's the mind. It's the processing. So during Mercury retrograde, there can be a lot of communication issues, a lot of electronical issues, a lot of words being typed that weren't intentional.
Sure. Logistical issues, people traveling and then plans get all screwed up.
Yes. And then if you look at Venus is all about love. So when you look at both sides, the light and the shadow, it's giving you the opportunity to see something new or to rewalk something and experience something differently. So if you look at love, it's not just love in relationships, it's love as a whole. And wherever that Venus is in the transit, it's really honing in on those aspects. And if your chart has a connection with those, then you can have a more specific honing in. So, for example, for me, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but love. My love has always been to nurture and help others. It's who I am, and it flows through everything that I do and touch. It's just a natural thing for me. I've been getting my doctorate. And in the last few weeks, I have been made to sit down. I got a stomach virus, took me down for a weekend, was low energy for that week, ended up getting sinus allergy stuff from the pollen.
Mm.
That took me down. I ended up getting sinus infections and a respiratory infection. And if you hear me, you can still hear it still stirring. But in that time of making me sit and process through things, I re-experienced things I experienced 3 years ago when I left the program back in 21. And seeing things in a new perspective, I opted to leave the clinical portion of that because I'm being propelled. My business has taken off drastically, and I am being put into positions of community and into helping others find their family, their tribe, people that they connect with, and that they can be accepted completely for who they are, where they are, no matter where they are.
Yeah.
And to find that love and acceptance for them to help. So it's been quite an interesting few weeks.
Interestingly, you're aware of it. This is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And why do you feel that dealing with those health challenges impacted your path? Where was and where I'm going with this is back in October, I got sick. I had a virus. I haven't been that sick in like half my life. I haven't had a fever in half my life. It turned in like, it wasn't COVID, but it was a virus sort of kind of like COVID where there was lasting effects from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what's the lesson here? What's going on? And I believe it was to stop me, slow me down, keep me in bed, make me focus on things, make me see things that maybe I didn't see, appreciate things that I didn't appreciate. There was a reason for it. And as we've talked, and I believe I shared here, it manifested in my throat. I had acute laryngitis. Then I had skin cancer on my throat, all taken care of, all good. My mom had the same thing in 2016. I used her doctor. That was the game changer. Other doctors told me that I had stage 3. They were wrong. This doctor said, whoa, wait a minute. He showed up when he needed to show up. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But there was a reason. I'm not speaking my truth, and I needed to slow down. So I shared that because I wonder what you're getting from your health situation.
The exact same thing. I was taking on way too much. I was putting in 14, 16 hours a day to complete that portion, plus the clients and everything. But my love is my business and my clients and the community. My love isn't being restricted into someone's shaped beliefs of how things should look and being forced into that. And then not only that housing of that entity, but also the personal beliefs over the people over it. That's the best way to say it. But I was working so much, I could hear and sense the doubt in myself of if this is truly what I want.
It wasn't resonating anymore.
It wasn't resonating anymore of being stuck in that place and being restricted on where you're actually able to help. And one thing that really helped me was working in a clinic where they were seeing 6 patients an hour. And the physician wasn't even allowing questions. And making patients schedule an appointment for those questions, and that's not me.
Mm.
I'm the type of provider that takes as long as it needs.
You're like a CSI investigator.
Yes,
You need
yes.
all the pieces, not just here's a pill. Pick up your script and see you soon. Yeah, yeah, that's who you are. That's who you are. But you do that because you're effective in helping. You need all the pieces, and then you render an answer or a direction. Danielle, would you say in your health situation the last few weeks, as much as it was a pain to go through and congestion and all of that going on, would you say it was a good thing?
I'm grateful.
Grateful. Yeah.
That's the thing that comes up is I'm grateful. Even with struggling through certain things of the sickness, if it wasn't for that and making me sit down, I would have probably continued on the path, forcing myself, because my egoic side is probably the best thing to say. I don't like to quit. I'm somebody who gets up and just continues.
But does that mean, though, you were continuing in that direction? Whereas I'm not giving up. Music is my thing. Tom Petty. I won't back down.
Yes.
So you were you're going in this path, but apparently, as the universe revealed when you got sick, that's not the right path for you.
It was to your detriment.
Yes. But if I had listened the whole time, I would have stopped and taken the time to really go into myself, to really figure that out, as my business was taking off and I was having to put clients out months, and realizing, because the struggle with me was these people need help now, but because of scheduling and
other work commitments over here, you had to ignore them and not take care of them the way you feel that they need to be taken care of.
Yes. And the biggest relief was when I actually stepped into where I was supposed to.
Music again. Before we got on here, in a goofy way, I gave lyrics to a song. Dave Matthews, Ants Marching. It's been stuck in my head for 2 days. I've been listening like 100 times. It's not like I thought that was a great song back in the day. It showed up. Why? That lyric, take these chances, put them in a box for a quieter time, lights down, we up and die. What that means is we don't realize our dreams. We take them and we put them in a box for a quieter time. I'll get to that. I'm busy right now. When it calms down, I'll take care of that dream over there. And then you die.
Exactly.
There's a message there. I think for all of us, go for it now. Don't put it in the box for the quieter time when things settle down. Maybe too late.
Correct.
Yeah.
Why do we do that? Because we have limiting beliefs.
Exactly.
Things standing in our way. We don't know what it is. I can't deal with that right now. So I'm going to just put it over the side here. What you're saying to yourself is, I'm afraid. Take a chance. I'm uncomfortable with challenge. I don't really know who I am, and all of that, which brings us to limiting beliefs, which, as we've talked before, is kind of fundamental in moving our lives forward. Now, Todd, you had, in working with Danielle, some realizations about these limiting beliefs. Was a couple of epiphanies or aha moments come up for you recently?
Well, the limiting beliefs were always like self-imposed for me, which for all of us, we are our own worst critic. We will limit ourselves and put our own lives on the back burner to help somebody else. Not caring about, are we going to put ourselves first at any point in time? Are we going to take care of what our true soul needs, to feel complete? Because our soul drives us forward, but our ego steps in and is like, no, no, that's not comfortable. You don't recognize this path. Stick with something but that limits us to grow. That limits us to explore different possibilities and new challenges that not just for ourselves, that could help other people.
Mhm.
And that was a big problem for me. Like a lot of beliefs where I wasn't good enough, but I didn't see anybody else stepping up to the plate in certain categories.
Mhm.
And then I just felt like, am I doing this for my own self, or am I doing this to help everyone else? Or am I just going to sit in the corner and not do anything at all? And then your soul kind of drives you forward a little bit more to like explore, like don't keep me locked in a box in the corner, and just leave me there for the rest of your life. And then when you pass on, you have all these boxes in the corner that you never had the opportunity as a child to explore, as
Mhm.
an adult to explore, and it kind of makes our lives seem a little bit less fulfilled.
Mhm. And
Was
that's
it hard for you to realize that what the limiting beliefs were? I call it connecting the dots, where you go
Yeah.
back to your childhood and it's like, oh, if that happened, and I'm not talking like horrible things. I'm just like, the things you internalize as a child, and then how it connects to
you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah.
now.
I'll share this. During my spiritual awakening, I noticed I needed to keep my vibration as high as possible. And my focus on not worrying about the past and not worrying about the future, just maintain a happy, joyful state in the present. And I found doing everything that I wanted to do as a child that I always put off, like going to the beach more often, going out in nature more often.
Mm.
Those were way more relaxing, and I would always put it off. It's like I'm not going to go on vacation. I'll put that off till next month, and then something come up, and then you don't do it next month, and something comes up again, and you have to put it off. You have to live in the present, and the limiting belief that we have a future might never come. To put all your faith, it's like, oh, I'm going to go on this trip, next year. You want to go on that trip, you should go on that trip. Live in the present, be happy now. You don't know if you have it next year.
Yeah.
So those are also limiting beliefs, that we don't focus on the present moment in time. Also, we don't nurture our own inner child enough to break out of that.
Would you be willing to share your limiting belief that came up during your session that you were not even aware of?
Oh, as a child,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I'll try to. I was in a La Petite Academy, and I had somebody opened up the bathroom door when I was using the bathroom, and that made me really fearful of going back to La Petite Academy, to where I ended up skipping the bus and then getting kicked out of La Petite, which my dad he was a spare the rod, spoil the child type of raising. So I would get beaten for anything I did wrong, or even if he thought I did something wrong, he would usually beat me and my brother, um, which I never understood how you could say, like, this hurts me more than it hurts you as you're hitting the child.
Mm.
Um, that put a phobia in me that I never could please my father, but I was still afraid of using public bathrooms after that. And I never even thought about that being a problem, um, which also in turn ended up making me gain weight to feel like the food was satisfying that craving, that part that I was missing, which I still suffer that today. It's a comfort, you know, um, and then having your thyroid, act up. And then for me, I had low testosterone, it made it a huge balancing act between like losing weight, feeling confident, and then like not feeling confident, eating too much and gaining weight back. Those were all problems that stemmed from my childhood into being an adult, but always striving constantly to appease other people because I felt I wasn't doing good enough. I always wanted to appease my father because he would always say that I wasn't good enough. I didn't realize he was a narcissist until much later on in life. It's like I could never satisfy his needs, which made me constantly search to appease like everybody else in my life. Like I would give them the shirt off my back, even though they probably wouldn't give me their shirt. And so it was always to my detriment. And as soon as I stopped doing that and putting more love into myself, that was like the very first kind of click that went over to where I realized I don't need to satisfy everybody else's needs. And, you know, I can be kind and a good person, but as long as I'm doing this to myself, I'm feeling satisfied. I'm feeling complete. I'm feeling whole again. And it just helped me kind of level up, I would have to say, towards my spiritual awakening. It was because there was a bunch of different things that happened, and that was one of the big ones. Was the self-love, the belief that I wasn't good enough, because that was put into me as a very good young child. My father used to talk down on me and my brother a lot, which I never understood. It's like, why am I in competition with my father? But like every time he thought I was doing better than him, he would knock me down a couple notches. I didn't know that's how they operated, and they didn't really like narcissists and empaths don't get along, but they're there for us to learn lessons. Mm-hmm. I realized later on, it's like I should have learned to set boundaries with my father a long time ago, but I ran from it at first. As soon as I could get out of the house, I left. And I didn't set that boundary, and I let him mess with my life again. But it kind of repeated. When you don't learn your lesson, you're supposed to put other people in your life that represent the lesson that you tried to, escape from. Mm-hmm. So I had another narcissist, but the third narcissist, I finally learned my lesson. So It took some time. I was hard-headed.
It does take time.
And then when you look back, in retrospect, it's like, wow, I wish somebody told me about this.
What a realization.
We're all on our own journey, right?
And all I'm going to say is, I understand what you're saying. I get it. I don't think my dad was a narcissist. However, didn't have a close relationship with him. And laser down here, he passed when I was 21, suddenly. So there's probably a lot there that I haven't. It's time to talk to Danielle again. I need to make an appointment. I'll just share this. I'm in a men's group, and we do community service and leadership and all that, but we mass down and we talk about stuff. And there was a kind of a shaman moment last week where there were 12 questions, and we just write the answers down. And a lot of the questions were sort of like, what are you hiding from others? Things like that. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know. I was just answering the questions. Out of the 12, 3 of them connected to my father, like wrote my father or something connected to. And I was like, that's interesting. So a lot of these things that we don't realize are holding us back, challenging us until it comes up or somebody like Danielle brings it out of you. But Todd, I'm sorry you went through all those challenges, but I'm very happy for you that there's a realization here, and now you found the road to travel on, as opposed to, I don't know what road to pick. I don't know what I'm doing here. And like when you said you left home, running from it, we all run from things, but what we do, you put it in your backpack, the emotional backpack, and now you're carrying it with you. You think you're running from it, you're carrying it with you anyway. We're out of time. I can just, wake up for all of us here. Thank you both for sharing. Very impactful, everything we're talking about here. And everybody, if you're feeling a little strange, you're not crazy. There's weird energy going on right now, but it's for a good reason. Danielle, if somebody wants to connect with you, how do they do that?
HelloFutureHealing.com. And they can book a free consultation if they have any questions, or even if they just want to connect.
Sure. HelloFuture.com. Thank you both for being here today. Really appreciate it. And wake up for all of us. That's, that I think, if anything, people got what could be the beginning of their spiritual awakening from what we talked about today. And I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.